It is 6:15, and this is the City of Brainerd Personnel and Finance Committee. All members are present, as well as City Administrator Patrick Wasso. Connie
What's up?
Allen. Would you stop that? You can't pronounce it differently every time. And our HRA Director is here, as well as our Council President. Item number 1 is the approval of bills. Is there any questions on the bills as we receive them? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the bills as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Matten, second by Pritchett. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 2, are we supposed to approve these minutes, or is this just an FYI?
This is an agenda item. I'd like to, which minutes?
Fire Advisory Board update.
There's some items I'd like to talk about with you.
Okay, please.
Let's look, the most important thing that I do need action item on is a fire capital request. Equipment, let's see, where is that on this agenda? Item 4C.
Equipment purchase.
And I know upstairs there should be handouts identifying the specific equipment purchases. This is the memo that it would look like if you had had it. I thought
We don't have it.
Yeah, it's upstairs.
Oh, Nikki was supposed to bring it here. No, it's okay if you guys want to look at this one. Technically, administration has approved these before, but because we are now having the new fire advisory board process involved, we actually had them review it, make a recommendation to the city council to approve that $13,000 approximate dollars. So we would like.
Out of their own capital improvement fund.
That is correct, of the fire departments, which is our fire department, but the fire advisory board has a much more expanded role now. So we're
Right.
trying to
I
involve
like
them.
that.
And they're recommending that we approve.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Dale is there, if you had any questions, but, so I would ask that you guys.
Did he wear pants?
I don't recall. Believe me, I do not recall. So I would ask for that recommendation. I do have a second one. You can decide how you want to take these. The next item is under fire contract update, Fort Ripley. I think everyone but Dolly was here when this happened last year when Fort Ripley said they're going to be leaving the arrangement. They have a unique understanding of providing a 12-month notice. Because we operate on January 1st and December 31st, our agreement says that they have to provide us 12-month notice that they want out. Well, they said because they provided notice on November 25th, they want out effective December of this year, which would effectively reduce our revenues by approximately $2,000 or 1 month's worth of Fort Ripley Township's revenue. They would have to provide someone else to provide their service. I brought this up to the Fire Advisory Board, again, because they're looking at their revenues and expenditures. And the other part the unique part that they looked at is the goodwill. Obviously, Fort Ripley, if you remember that letter, was very unhappy when they departed from us. They were not happy that they got added an added fee, mid-contract type situation. And that's why they provided their notice. And soon after, City of Keysco Lake also provided notice. Because we were trying to make a means with this, tell them that we're not going to interpret the contract differently, it is our recommendation and the Fire Advisory Board's recommendation to approve letting them out of the 12-month contract for the year 2014. It's a $2,000 amount that would be shorted on the revenue.
Basically for the month of December?
For the month of December for Fort Ripley's application. And that is also a recommendation from the Fire Advisory Board with the very clear knowledge when we send them a new bill, because they said they're not paying till they get a new bill, that we will also include in the letter that we appreciate their years being with the City of Brainerd and that they are always welcome back in the future.
Okay.
Does that set a precedence for future if we were to lose anybody else, if they decide in July or August, then we'll credit them 4 months for the
The
following?
new contract is
We'll
much
eliminate
different,
that.
significantly
Okay.
different.
Okay.
This was
That
that
would
old
be my
contract,
fear.
and there was a real problem with, they hadn't signed a new one. None of the cities, townships had signed a new one in years. And so there was some question about the timing, and so that's why it's recommended to.
I don't think we want to go to court for the
No,
month.
no.
Not that we would, but I think it's, well, I don't want to influence either of you because one of you has to make the motion, but I think it's just best to.
Understand, I guess
Yeah.
I was just trying to prevent
Yeah.
future.
Right.
But with the new contract being written, that takes care of that, okay.
That was-
Well, and hopefully with moving forward with our new understanding of the partnership rather than the way it's been done in the past, and we've been moving forward for years. It's just that we kind of came to a crunch last year with the loss of the Safer grant and having to pay for the 2 firefighters and making a decision to bill prior to asking.
Sure.
And that probably wasn't the best of ideas.
It happened though, it is what it is. and
It is what it is.
We'll deal with it, and
Yeah.
going forward, we're not certain that East Gull Lake's gonna, I mean, if I were to guess, well, I'm not gonna guess.
No, don't, you're on TV.
Yes, so,
Whatever happens,
it
happens.
happens. So I'd ask that you move those 2 items.
And just clarification for the TV audience, this is something that's already in the capital fire budget, so it's not an additional expenditure, and it's something that we normally would approve, and they're approving it and recommending that we.
Yes, that is true.
Okay.
It's kind of their budget.
Yeah.
They all pay for it. They, including the city of Brainerd, kicks in money for capital improvement, and it sits there until they decide what they want to buy, if, so there it is.
I move we approve both the capital request and the contract update regarding Fort Ripley.
I would second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Hi, Tony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Just a little bit more before we walk away from this.
Yep.
We did give them a more detailed report on the financial updates that Finance Director Hillman is here to address. Maybe in the future you'd like to see that, but it's more encompassing. It details the projections on where we're at, where we're going to be. Just as a quick summary, by first quarter, we're going to be over budget due to the high number of fire calls we received. Would you like that information provided in the future?
We do get budget updates, correct?
Well,
Not with the estimated at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Here's just a copy of where we're
okay.
at. So we have the actual through March,
Yep.
and then we're estimating for April through the end of the year, and then comparing that to the budget.
I think we absolutely should see this at least quarterly.
Okay, we'll do that for
I
you.
mean, unless there's something that happens that's dramatic.
Nope.
And when you say significantly over budget, can we just look and see?
Well, that depends on how the rest of the year goes.
Right, sure,
You know,
that's,
and we have a lot estimated. I mean, 3/4 of the year is estimated, more than that, so, you're kind of at the whim, but
unemployment is up, I see. Salary is down.
that's because we've
Yeah.
kept on that one fire equipment operator, so
Yep.
you would expect to see salaries over budget, but it's being paid for basically by the unemployment.
I don't see a I'm looking at,
So if you look on the paid on call run, that's where it's going to be over budget. Or that's where we're estimating over budget. And basically, the estimated April through December is what we spent in 2013.
So what you're really looking at is the 2069, or 20,691 is, or where are you telling them that we're over?
that would be an under budget.
On the paid on call, we're over budget. We're estimating that we're gonna be over budget by $23,011.
We're gonna be short $23,000.
If you look at the full-time, we're actually going to be over budget, or gonna be under budget, excuse me. We're not gonna spend our budget
Got it.
by $9,000. So in total, we're going to be over budget by about $14,000, estimating right now at this point.
Okay.
Good.
So do you wanna see this for the fire department on a quarterly basis, or what are you looking at?
I was thinking for the city.
For our working funds?
Yeah, just for the working funds.
We can put something together going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to.
I presume
Educated.
you're looking at this regularly, correct?
We're trying to.
We are all,
Yeah.
department heads and myself review this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a nice, you show us our working funds anyway. Be nice to see where we are at for budget.
The last item I have there is a CIP update. A little bit of change from the past. What I'm working with the chief on now is in the past you've worked on a 5-year capital improvement plan. The fact of the matter is the equipment that we buy in the fire department are vehicles that last 25, 30 years, long-standing trucks, pumpers, ladders. So we're gonna put together a complete package for you, identifying the length of service that we expect each vehicle, when we plan on turning them in and returning them or taking them out of service. It will be much more informative, give you a bigger picture of what's going on and future budgets, so that you know that we are planning for replacements of all the vehicles when they're planning on being replaced.
Okay.
We're gonna do that for each of the departments. Tony and I briefly touched on that, and he's kinda going, really? Okay. But that's what I wanna do, so that he knows and everybody knows, that if we've got 4 lawnmowers, what the replacement time is, based upon normal maintenance type situations. So it's more typically, it lasts longer than 5 years, and that's why we need to go out longer than 5 years.
Okay.
I'm done then, unless you had any questions.
No, but that was one of the complaints about the next agenda item, is that we should have known that the HVAC system was gonna fail 20 years ago, because it's a pile of junk 20 years ago. And
Yes,
theoretically, you can only bandage it forever,
you
for,
have to plan for 20 years out, at this point you start looking at buildings or longer. And so, Yep, that does segue right into the next conversation.
all right, we'll mention those two things as kind of a financial reporting, the capital improvement plan going on longer than 5 years, as well as quarterly working funds compared to, a budget compared to actual.
I would like to have until, give it through June to get the
Right,
operating
yeah,
funds
through
together,
June.
because it's gonna
We
take a
work
little bit to
tomorrow.
get it together, but,
Right,
that'll be the quarter that I try to start with, let's put it that way.
through June, and I can use, will everybody have one of these?
We can make everybody have
We'll
one of those, or,
For tonight, yes, we'll make sure everyone has one.
Okay, so they know what I'm referring to,
Yeah,
that
they
when I
can-
give it as an FYI.
Ask
They're
us.
really not fire advisory things, but the fire department epitomizes those two things because they have a lot of long-term capital and they're way over budget,
Yes.
slightly over budget.
well, and
Projected.
those are just projections, so, let's
Yeah,
kind of see how the year shakes
Right.
out, but this is what we're thinking right now.
but good to know now.
Right.
Okay, excellent, thank you, Connie and Patrick. Item 3 is the capital improvement follow-up from last fall. I think this is fairly clear, but you might, it might be new to you. We had 5 projects, 6 projects, roughly $1 million that we had scheduled to bond for, that we had received a petition from citizens asking us not to bond for it. And
It halted the bond issue.
Yeah, it halted the bond issue. Was also part of that a request to send to referendum, or was that a suggestion, or was that part of the law?
That's part of the law as the next step if the city council wishes to proceed under this petition.
Okay,
So that's one of the options that we're talking at, so that we submitted the plan. There was a timeline that you had to wait before you could act on it. And within that timeline, there's a petition within a certain number of residents was received, so that halted it. The next step, if the city council wishes to put this item up for a vote, it would have to be at the next general election, which would be November of this year. Now, I identified 4 different steps or 4 different areas. We've been talking with our is it bond council, or what is Springstead technically?
yes.
Financial advisors.
Financial advisor. So there are different alternatives, quick summary, there are 4 alternatives. Incorporate the projects in the 2015 budget. 2 other financing options, which we talked with Springstead, we can go into more detail. Place on the ballot for November 4th of this year. After 365 days has passed, we can reintroduce the CIP bonds. So that is another option, but you would have to wait until after 365 days have passed and then propose it. So we're talking next year.
365 days from the
The
first.
date of the petition is
Okay.
So it'd be like December 4th.
from that.
And then we'd be subject to another referendum that they could
Possible.
halt
They,
it
yeah,
again.
they'd have another time period in which to get it. Okay.
And the reason why we issued them in the fall when we did our normal construction bonding was to help kind of with the cost, issuance costs, that we could, kind of roll them into one
Right.
issue. So those are,
So me being the new guy, I hadn't heard it what had happened after December 4th. I came on in February and thought we should be addressing this now. If we're going to put this on the ballot, our deadline for action by the city council is the 22nd of August. So right now, we're only asking for direction. We could put the question together and have it on the future agenda, but right now, we need guidance rather than putting together questions, and that, maybe you guys have different ideas, but these are primarily the 4 different options.
Well, one question that I'd asked Patrick earlier on this was timeline. Because we can, looking at this, we could possibly mix options. I mean, none of them are, totally mutually exclusive. I mean, we can look and see when do we have to have a decision on 3, 4, we have the timeline on that one. But take a look at the other 2 and kind of see. where we're at.
And the timing for that is good because obviously we're gonna go into budget discussions relatively quick here. And so if you're telling us there's no way we're gonna do it, you're gonna have to build it into your budgets, we need to know that because there'll be substantial discussions after that.
$1 million reduction across the board to pay for this?
Yeah.
You guys can do it.
No more paper clips in the
No more paper clips, there we go.
Just a question though, if
Yes,
you
Dolly.
just assume, or if you just incorporate them into the budget, or the projects into the budget, couldn't the petition happen all over again? I mean,
We
right?
have to
No.
do it differently.
They
No,
have
I
to
know
do it
for different items.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry, this is one of the items that I pulled up. I forget exactly where in the county show.
It's on the
where it was.
website.
It's on the website.
Okay.
So we have to have this to submit it as part of our capital improvements plan. And this, for the record, is a capital improvements plan for 2013 to 2018. You can't go through this type of bonding without having this in place.
Okay.
There was a public hearing in
Yep.
October, I think it was.
November 4th,
Thank you.
we had a public hearing and then it was adopted by the council on November 4th.
So you can't just say this is our wish list. There has to be logical reasons for it, and I think, well, I know we included some of the information. So in your packet is the information on October 2nd that they talked about the different plans. We gave you actually an excerpt from the CIP plan. And then some minutes of what happened, how it transpired with having to go before us today and to be reconsidered at this time. And then, yeah, in communications with Springstead, our financial consultants, we were putting together the exact dollar amounts, and this 980,000 is an excerpt from one of the emails. And so, I do think, talking with Kelly about this, we definitely want to review the numbers as it's a full year later and solidify these numbers, but talking with the different staff members, that they feel comfortable that it's going to come in at this rate or higher because it's now a year later.
Okay.
But we will, before it's the vote in November, we would have those details for the city council and the public.
You'd almost have to, I would think.
It's appropriate.
Certainly was one of the concerns of the petitioners, was that the numbers didn't appear to be solid because there was no quotes. They were engineers, or they were estimates.
Estimates, right.
Yeah, staff estimates as opposed to
Actual quotes
bids.
from contractors.
In the last 3 newsletters have specifically tried identifying the different reasons for the needs. Like the last one, we included the duct tape with the toggle switch and how we're running the heating and ventilation system here at City Hall. People are asking about that. So.
regarding option 2, one, if you recall, Dave, and maybe Dolly, if you were listening, there was a couple, or at least a citizen spoke, but it was one of the lead petitioners regarding using fund balance money to help reduce the possible bond amount. I did call, the fund that was mentioned was Fund 401, correct, Connie?
Well, I'm not exactly sure where the numbers came from, but this is the report from March of 2014,
Which will be pretty accurate.
pretty accurate. So if you look at those highlighted in yellow, those are all of our construction funds that you can see. Really most of them are designated for a specific use except for Fund 400. And if you really look at that fund balance, the amount that is undesignated is less than $70,000. So meaning like we have the Riverwalk funds that we have raised. Some of the projects that we've already specified that we need, that we put money in there. So really there's $70,000 of fund balance that could be used for possible some of these construction contracts.
And I believe the construction fund was the one that was mentioned in the letter by the petitioner.
So the construction fund is used to construct the streets within the city. And typically what we've done is we have used those funds to pay to construct the roads, and then when we issue the bonds in the fall, we are reimbursing ourselves for those construction costs. So I don't know how that would work if we would spend down that $700,000, how we would be able to pay for our road construction funds.
And that would be my concern. It's almost like you're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
What would happen is we would not be able to pay the construction
Right.
funds during the season because we would not have
Right.
any dollars,
Unless you did a mid-year bond. But if
which
you're
is more expensive because of the issuance costs.
absolutely, plus if you're bonding for pre-construction expenses and then bonding again in the fall to pay for the road, I think it would be a I'm just answering one of the larger dollar figure questions that a citizen had who made the petition. We've got X amount of dollars sitting in this fund, why can't we use this? Well, you absolutely could, but it could create a much deeper financial difficulty. And that might, it apparently would. You know.
Okay, so one more question.
Yeah.
If we decide to place it on the ballot, and it doesn't go through,
Yeah.
what are we left with?
Same thing.
We have to,
One, two,
the
and
projects don't go away. The projects
Right,
are always gonna be
they're
there.
always gonna be
So
there.
there are some other alternatives, reducing the amount of the request, changing the amount of the request, looking at different alternatives. Like we said with the Springstead, they had some other ideas. When we looked at every possible different alternatives, from tax capacity to TIF dollars to other things, because those two are definitely not. So we looked and eliminated numerous things. There are some other viable options, but the cleanest is to put it on the ballot.
Okay.
Yeah, because the other options would still be open to us if it's on the ballot and it doesn't pass.
Sounds good.
It's our job to educate the citizens then, to make sure that they know that the bids, one, are needed, and are legit, and two, that they're needed projects.
A council member who's not here, Mary Cope, called me and asked me, another alternative is why can't we look at paring down this list? Why do we have to do it all? Well, and theoretically, we don't have to do it all, but if you're gonna go to a referendum, I mean, you might as well do it all, I would think. That would be my opinion. I'm not suggesting that you could. I think what she's referring to is all of a sudden, at the end of last year, all these projects, these 6 projects pop up without really any reference to them throughout the rest of the year. How is it possible we go from not hearing them at all for 9 months to all of a sudden we're gonna shut down the city if we don't do these 6 projects? And I have to be truthful, I wondered that myself. How could but actually that isn't true, because I knew like the salt and sand storage. I mean, that's all. If you've seen pictures of that, you don't want to be an employee of the city of Brainerd when the MPCA shows up. Or
Right.
anything. That's a bad thing.
And to clarify for the public, I mean, last
Yeah.
city council meeting, our engineering staff got up and showed you the white trail going right into the wetland.
Right.
From the salt sand,
Yeah.
as the snow melted, and it was going right into the wetland. That's exactly what the MPCA is saying, it's not gonna be allowing.
And I think the whole heating and air conditioning system came to light in May and June of last year.
Right.
And when we sat down in July to start pre-budgeting, we talked about all these things that we needed. You know, so we were talking about it internally as well, you know,
Sure.
and when we sat down with the council. And so we did, as soon as we knew about it, we talked about them.
I sometimes think, and I really think this, what Patrick referred to as a more long-term outlook on some of our larger capital expenditures, will really benefit, because I know when you sit there, I'll use the front steps because it's a kind of a minimal thing. And there's been some argument, especially regarding the words dangerous, but the center railing is down and the steps are starting to slide out from the building. Well, we've known that. It's been that way through all my years on the council. And what we've done is we've patched it, we've bubblegummed it, we've ignored it. Nobody's gotten hurt, so we don't fix it. Because we never have the money, ever, ever, ever. So now we're looking at capital improvements and saying, you know, what are some things the HVAC system is certainly something, but what about the front steps? Well, if we're gonna bond for it, let's fix the front steps too. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
We-
Well, but you know, and I know they were brief. I had sent Patrick a couple of emails in regards to, and I know the Parks Department roof was leaking
I was
terribly
running my
bad.
answer to you.
Oh, okay, then I will bring that.
No, it is, I do want to talk about that
Okay.
one too. I think you, and most of us in this room are aware, Tony especially, of the leaky roof at the Parks Department. Because it's a CIP, talking with Connie when we had a chance to meet over lunch or dinner, she indicated it can't include a parks building, it has to be City Hall.
And it was very
That's why.
specific in what it could cover. And so if we looked at the CIP plan, we did have the park roof getting insulated and replacing it, but it wasn't until 2015. So it was one of those things we're not gonna have in the 2014
Right.
budget, and so we put it out a year, then we had the major leaking problem.
Right.
And so it was kind of a,
Well, I guess the reason I'm saying is I don't think that we've been budgeting for these, right? Over the years, and we've borrowed from certain funds to pay for certain things. And it's to the point now, the HVAC definitely needs to be upgraded. And I know it probably wasn't, the city isn't gonna stop tomorrow if some of these don't get fixed, I understand. But, you know, the more minimal things are the cheaper of the items as well. So, you know, and I realize these are just cost estimates, but, you know, I don't think that they just happened overnight. I think that they've just finally got frustrated and said, we just need to fix these, and we need to be prepared for things that, in the future, that, you know, I guess be more proactive. Which,
Oh, absolutely.
There's only so much bailing wire you
Right.
can put
Right,
on a machine.
and again, I compliment Patrick and Connie because they're gonna help us.
Right, right.
Well, my problem is, I don't know that I like the word upgrade on the HVAC. The problem is, it is an upgrade because it's 20 years old, so obviously it's an upgrade. But it's just proper maintenance that hasn't been done.
We need to replace it.
I was gonna ask, is
It's
it
an actual
replacement or is it an
so-
up?
But it is a certain system that we're going to upgrade, so but I don't know if I like the term upgrade because it implies to
Makes
the
it
public
sound,
that
yeah.
You already
we got a
have
good
something that's
system and it's
working.
working. No, I can tell you the emails from Teresa before I started here and how Jeff was coming in on Saturdays and Sundays because the building temperature was down to 40 degrees because the heating system went out.
Right.
That doesn't sound to me like it's an upgrade. That sounds like general maintenance. Sorry, I'm approaching whining level there.
It's the heat.
Okay,
All right.
no time like the present. If, it sounds like I'm hearing consensus, but we would need a motion to recommend to the council in a second and a vote. So, do either of you want to make a stab at what you think we should do?
I personally think we should place it on the ballot.
Okay? Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
All of these items with upgraded,
Yes.
updated bids?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Pritchett?
I second that.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, both same sign. Absolutely no reason why things can't change, but I really like the idea that we're at least moving forward with something.
And there's no reason why we can't concurrently look for other financing options while we're doing that.
Absolutely.
And as I said, the actual question, the wording that will be on the ballot will have to be brought back at a later date
Yep.
so that we can formalize that.
I need to backtrack. So if we're going to place it on, or recommend placing it on the ballot, we don't have to direct staff to continue working with Springstead. You guys are just going to assume you're going to do that. Okay,
and
beautiful.
The
All right.
ballot question with
Perfect.
the county and the whole ball.
Okay, great.
Okay, that ends item 3. Nothing else on the capital improvement projects?
No, sir.
All right, item 4 is our insurance for the Civic Center memo to be provided. It looks, I'm somewhat confused because I thought there was going to be a request from Baja on this, and I don't see anything. It appears to be an FYI.
This is action for this,
Okay.
it's item P and F number 4.
Okay. I'm just gonna look at yours for now.
Okay, on the second page,
Oh, I did.
second to last paragraph, what this, so the city sold Baja the facility for $1. At the time, it was understood that there was a recent insurance claim that was filed, or we knew, we were aware of it, we were filing with the League of Minnesota Cities, our insurance carrier. The purchase agreement does state, I believe it states, the exact wording, don't quote me on please, but it states that any proceeds from the insurance company will be forwarded to Baja to cover the repair. I've shared this information with Baja, the quotes, and they are less than satisfied. But this is our insurance company, our insurance claim. The claim, as just a quick summary, is that there is an existing roof, a foam roof. The quotes that we received, I believe I included those in the package. I did not. The company's name is Foam on the Range. They provided 2 quotes. One was to just repair it, and
It's in the memo. It
It's
says
in the
that
memo under
foam on the range,
definition.
82,000 consists of patching the holes in the roof, and then 134 consists of patching the holes and then applying systems, manufactured base material.
League of Minnesota Cities, clear understanding is they're not there to fix the roof to the higher level. The Foam on the Range quote said also that it was well past its years that it should have been fixed and repaired. And so, and then the other part of it is we have $5,000 deductible per occurrence, and how that occurrence works out is over a 72-hour period, as I understand. And so the league is saying the birds didn't all just come in one day. They came probably over the whole year. They're offering $40,000. And it's a unique situation because it was sold by the city, and Baja has some concerns, so I wanted the city council to be aware of it. Technically, in the past, we just work with the insurance company and we come up to what we determine to be acceptable deal on cars, buildings, variety of insurance claims, but this one's larger and it's unique, so I wanted to make sure city council was aware of it. And if we're going to accept this unless city council directs us otherwise.
Yeah, my only thought would be I would probably make sure Baja knows what they're getting.
They do, they're not satisfied.
I understand, but they have not requested anything different at this point. Now we're through 2 meetings. You gotta put it in writing. This is what our insurance company's giving. You have 10 days to respond. If you have any questions, please ask them within the next, I mean, certain period of time, we have to accept or reject this, yes or no, or?
Yes, and because they asked me what my next step would be, and I said I'm going to accept it and forward the $40,000 on to Baja. And if they don't want to take the check, they'd have to take legal action against the city.
Yeah, we will have fulfilled our obligation.
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Yeah.
This is a normal business process.
The only question I have is in the art of insurance settlement negotiation, there is an opportunity, and we're getting offered a settlement.
Mm-hmm.
There is an opportunity to argue for a different settlement. We're in a unique situation in that we're not exactly the principals anymore, but we were at the time of the damage. So we can ask as a courtesy, and I'm asking if we want to do this. We may not want to. We may want to, as our administrator suggests, accept the check and say, here, take it or leave it. But it might not be, if we have 10 days to say to Baja, this is what we've got, and we give them the courtesy of putting it in writing, and we intend to accept this unless we hear from you within 10 days, and forward the proceeds onto you as fulfillment of our obligation to provide the insurance settlement. I would hate to think that Baja, and I'm not meaning to imply anything, is sitting there wondering what to do. And this puts the rubber to the road, so to speak. Oak Lawn Township, when it comes time to do the project, they back out. They put it in writing, we're not doing it. Thank you. They don't give us any reason, we don't need that. We're not doing it. We do the same thing to Baja. We're taking the insurance settlement, we're giving it to you. Now is your time to say something. I just think we should give them something like that.
With what expectation, what would you expect them to say back?
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, because
That's
if
what I
they
would
say, no,
expect.
we feel you need to argue on our behalf, because we're the principal, we feel
Well, I
that you
would
need
think
to
it'd be
take that
better to
role.
know that now,
Okay,
if that's truly what they expect. I would expect them to say thank you.
And they know that I've been arguing for their case
Sure.
ever since I've been here. I mean,
Yeah.
so I've been.
Our obligation does not include a legal battle on their on behalf of the roof. Truth be told, the argument seems legitimate to me, but you just heard that administrator say on 2 separate occasions in the last 10 minutes, they're not happy.
right.
Well, put it in writing. What aren't you happy and what do you expect us to do? I don't care what you're happy about, the dollars and cents, by the way. I'm concerned about what they're not happy about with us fulfilling our obligation to provide the insurance settlement. That's our obligation.
I just don't want to have them get the idea that, okay, if they
Right.
say we're not happy, we're not gonna accept it,
Well,
well, we're gonna give it to you anyway, you know, it's like, I don't like it to seem like we're asking your opinion and your opinion doesn't matter. And that's not what you're saying, but I wanna make sure that that's crystal clear, because like my feeling is unless they come up with some really incredible reasoning why we should do something differently, this is what we're doing.
my thought is, wouldn't you rather know that now,
Yeah.
rather than after?
But just make sure that letter, you know, that's kind of clear, because otherwise that's kind of insulting too. You know, we want to know what you're going to do, and then we're going to do what we want to do anyway.
Oh, but I think it's acceptable to say, and we intend to accept this settlement and forward the check onto you, thereby fulfilling our obligation. There's nothing wrong with that, that's business.
I think that's
We
very
made a deal.
professional and cordial.
Yeah,
and
it's very
I-
professional and cordial, and I wouldn't even ask for opinions, I would just say, if you have any comments, please direct them to the city administrator. But I wouldn't leave it like we're open to, we're on TV, so anybody could be watching it, but it seems to be, at least clear in my mind, that we're not entering into a legal battle on behalf of the roofing. Well, if it didn't seem fair, I might say, hey, this doesn't seem fair, but it seems fair. And you could even put that in that letter. This seems fair to us. But as a courtesy, we're letting you know what we're gonna do before we do it. Same problem we got into with the fire advisory.
Yeah, I like that wording. You
Yeah.
know, this seems fair to us. This is
Yeah,
what
the
we're-
settlement seems fair, based on the circumstances. You don't have to mention the fact that Baja certainly undertook some obligation for maintenance and upgrade when they accepted it for $1.
Right.
That's part of why they have it. But you don't have to put that in writing, we can get, that. Anyway, does that make any?
It does complete sense, and so that's,
And do we have the time, do you think, with our,
we have time.
okay,
So
sometimes there's a
and
time.
actually, as far as I'm concerned, this committee just told me to do that, so I don't know if you wanna just update the council, that's what we're
Yeah,
going to do?
that's what we're gonna do, yep, okay, that'll be an FYI. Is there a motion to approve that plan of action?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I appreciate it, okay. Okay, let's try and move, since we're under the gun, to, if we're gonna go up and stare at Mr. Sheeler's committee. Item 5, the state vehicle contract. This is part of our
Equipment certificate.
equipment certificates that we budgeted for and bonded for, and,
Right on the highlighted yellow and some of those numbers there, you see equipment certificates now.
yep.
It's on consent
And,
agenda.
okay, any questions? Just as a matter of procedure, a motion to approve, keeping that on the consent calendars?
So
Is there? So moved by Dave, second by
Second.
Dolly. Any questions?
My only question is what pot does the money go into from the sale of the 3 vehicles?
I'm hoping this go to the equipment certificates to help cover the overage of the street sweeper.
That would make
That's what I'm
sense.
hoping.
That's,
Okay. 'Cause I thought that had been brought up earlier, but I couldn't quite remember, so.
that's what the intent was.
Would you like that as a motion under this item, even though it's a consent calendar, but we'll get to this?
I think that would be great, just so everybody's clear.
So everybody's clear. Okay, first of all, is there a motion to approve the initial purchases?
Motion.
Yes, you-
Yeah, we got that, and then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion that we will vote on as part of our agenda item is the surplus from the sale of the used vehicles will go into the equipment certificate fund to help pay for the overage on the street sweeper.
Okay, so move.
Second by Dolly. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to item 6, which is the downtown motel. Please welcome Jennifer Bergman, our HRA director, just to fill us up to speed on what's going on with that.
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you recall, and maybe for Dolly's benefit, Dennis Valella approached the city offering to sell the downtown motel to the city of Brainerd for $75,000. The HRA has explored some redevelopment options. We're limited because the size of that lot is so small. And so one of the things, pardon me?
Small houses.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, we will.
So,
Forever.
one of the things that the HRA kind of did was take a look at those parcels to the north. There are 5 parcels to the north, but assembling that is a much larger undertaking. So what the HRA board discussed was really acquiring and demolishing the downtown motel in and of itself is a benefit to the city of Brainerd. The police department, BPU, code enforcement, there have been so many issues in regards to the downtown motel that has had just a detrimental effect on the community and on the neighborhood. And of course, it's very visible because it's right on South 6. So the HRA's direction was, well, let's take a look at acquiring and demolishing regardless of redevelopment potential. The Brainerd HRA did sign a purchase agreement with Dennis Valella for $62,500, which is contingent upon board approval, upon HRA board approval. The HRA tabled this agenda item at their April meeting for further discussion and some financing options.
Wasn't the TIF district also a condition?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. And another is This parcel that the downtown motel is on was in the HRA's TIF district. But because there was no activity on that parcel, it was knocked off. It's called the knockdown rule from the TIF laws. Well, in '09, the legislature actually extended that four-down knockdown rule to 6 years. And we just found out about this, so we are petitioning the county to get that parcel back in to the HRA's TIF district. Sounds promising. The county had a very busy April, so they are exploring that right now, and I do anticipate that that parcel will be put back into the HRA's TIF district. So the purchase agreement was tabled. The board will reconsider this again in May at their May board meeting, which was May 28th. And one of the directions that I received from the HRA board was to approach personnel and finance and then maybe ultimately the city council to see if the city would have any interest in sharing the cost of acquiring and demolishing this property. I plan to come back to the Personnel and Finance Committee on May 19th with a formal request. Right now, I just wanted to bring you up to date and, you know, kind of give you a heads up that that was the direction that I received by the HRA board. Council President Dale Parks is also the chair of the Brainerd HRA board, so I will stop talking and I will entertain any questions if you have them.
Any questions?
Primarily because it was a financial issue and I didn't want any council members to get surprised, we put it on here to update you guys.
Thank you, Patrick.
I have one question, and that's, are you gonna do the same thing at the council meeting tonight, or do you want us to share that we just met and we're updated on the situation with more details to follow, or do you want me to give an abbreviated version of what you just told us? What are you looking for when we go to council this evening?
I think May 19th, I will have all the facts
Okay.
and everything before you.
Okay,
Let them know that the HRA has entered into a purchase agreement for this area.
With some contingencies.
With some contingencies.
Yes.
Okay.
One of which is approval of the HRA board. So if the board does not approve it, you know, we're out, we
Okay.
have an out.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
When you're talking about sharing the cost, are you talking about purchase cost and demolition cost, or?
yes.
Okay.
And in fact, the entire cost. Purchase, acquisition, there's some property taxes, so all of those. And again, I'll bring that very itemized when I come back on May 19th.
But approximately $50,000.
Approximately a total of 100,000?
Our share would be 50.
Yeah.
So.
we'll leave that alone for now, just because that may change between now and.
Cost was 100,000 for sharing the 50.
Okay.
Dave, I'm not gonna talk into the dollars and cents of things, because that's probably
I was just curious.
likely. Yeah, we can certainly discuss it, but it's likely to change. We'll just mention the purchase agreement and the further discussions, and that we'll be receiving a complete report on the 19th.
Yes.
Okay, any further discussions? Yes?
Nope, and if you have other questions, you know, feel free to call me. I'd be happy to, you know, especially if you yes, with me? No.
Okay.
But if you have other questions as far as the history, I'd be happy to
Perfect, thanks.
to cover that.
The history of the hotel?
Don't go into the what?
Don't ask Tony.
You are welcome to stay for this meeting and the full city council meeting, really.
I actually do watch it on TV. I truly. Alrighty, thanks. Thanks for your time.
Okay, we are going to move on to item 7, which is 2 Parks Department agenda items. The request to set up the new credit card account and the KLN for Kids Miracle League fundraiser. Mr. Saylor, anything you want to add to what you got in here, or clarify, or?
On the credit card, we have no problem with the other gas stations, we'll still use them, but it's a thing of convenience. It's across the street, easy in, easy out, instead of hauling 5-gallon or 10-gallon cans around for our groomers and mowers and everything else. It'd be just convenience.
Credit card left at the store?
The way it would be set up is we would go into once we get gas and take care of it right
Okay.
at the counter itself. That's how we are with all the other gas stations.
Okay.
Can I add some?
You absolutely can.
Thank you, sir. With Connie and I being new in our positions, we are very clear to the department heads and to council, whenever we're applying for a credit card, the state treats that just like cash. And so we're gonna make sure the city council is aware of it and approves those so that we don't get an audit check mark.
We have other credit cards? Because at one time we had zero.
We have
credit.
accounts, well, we have US Bank credit cards that each department has one
Yeah,
that you guys
okay.
approve. We have an account set up with Holiday as well as Super America.
Okay,
Fleet One
yep.
is those cards. So that's.
Okay.
We treat those just like money, so that's why we're very restrictive on those. We don't just apply for things and
Okay, you want to take this separately? We could take this separately?
Just one more quick
Yeah,
question.
Certainly.
The difference between opening a credit card and just opening an account at the store? Any difference? How the state would see that?
not in my mind.
Not in your mind, so
I
it
want to
doesn't
keep it
matter?
very restrictive. I don't-
Okay, I was just wondering, all right.
Get one credit card or 20?
Well, I believe it's set up as an open-ended, isn't it?
I think what they're talking about, each gas station, depending on the size of them, does it different. And so you're just gonna be able to walk in there and they're having it, put it on our account.
Yeah. Put it
They'll
on the
have a
account.
pin, each driver will have a pin, so we'll know exactly who charged.
It's kind of like on site.
Right, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the park director's request
Motion to
for a
approve.
credit account of some sort? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Just on a follow-up on that, I'd like to see somewhere why the city of Brainerd does not take credit cards.
That's a whole long discussion, but yeah.
I don't want to see it tonight. I want to
Okay.
see it on the agenda item. I can pay my taxes with a credit card over the.
Why we don't specifically.
Yeah, we don't take credit cards.
Yep.
I mean, that seems crazy. The state of Minnesota has allowed charging the additional
The
fees,
convenience fees?
Yep.
the convenience fees for a long time now.
I know Connie got on me right away about that, so I will.
Good. I'd like to
move it
see
up
that,
the top of the
I'd like
agenda.
to see that up there, because I think I don't know that we're necessarily losing money, but we're certainly losing opportunity.
Okay.
I mean, it's, okay.
As long as you fully understand, like you said,
Yeah.
the convenience charge has to be passed on to the customer.
Yeah,
And you can charge, my understanding is the further discussion.
We'll get into it. Yep.
right, I just.
Good question.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm glad you brought it up, actually, because that way.
Welcome to 1980. Okay, Mr. Saylor, anything you want to mention over and above your incredible memo about the KLM Family Brands fundraiser, KLM for Kids?
Just a quick brief on how this all happened. My brother happened to email me. He recently was employed at KLM as a employee recruiter. He emailed me, said, hey, I've been out and around, I've been hearing about things with the Miracle League. And I emailed back and said, gee, would you guys like to donate? We can get a permanent plaque for $250 or $2,500. He said, we're meeting tomorrow morning, fill out this application, blah, 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 boom. The next morning, he calls me up and says, we're gonna donate $2,500 for the Miracle League. And we also said, we wanna do this KLM for Kids program with you guys. I said, what's that? That is what is explained in the memo on how they will donate 5% of their wholesale profits from the Brainerd area for the next 5 years towards the Miracle League. And once everything is paid for on that, right now the field's paid for. We've got to pay for the arch, the Bonnie Cumberland plaque, and a pedestal for Darlis Everett. Once that's paid for, then it'll start getting directed towards the all-inclusive playground. And so my brother is expected to be here tonight to fill you in on more details, just to highlight things, and then for any questions you guys have.
Okay.
So,
We were just talking about it.
there he is.
So, his presentation will be at approximately 7:30.
This is your brother?
Yes,
He
this is my
has
brother.
way more
Okay.
hair.
The whole family does.
Wow.
All right, I'm gonna ask that we do something so we don't run out of time here. Is it okay if we let him tell us how it works to the whole council, or does he want to do it
We
now?
were just having to do the whole council.
Yeah,
This is
whole
just an
council.
update for you guys, so you
Yeah.
can say
Okay.
yay or nay right now as a recommendation.
No obligations for Parks and Rec, I mean, we don't have to go around and say buy Tuffy's dog food or.
Nothing.
We don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we want to, right?
You're darn right. That's, I think, something we want to look at promoting.
Well, it only benefits us, or the
Dog-
Miracle Field, which is
Dog
us.
park.
Yeah.
All
We could get
inclusive
puppies
park.
for the dog park, yeah. But you know, one thing we are gonna look into, Granite City Jobbing, where we do buy our product for our concession stands, also handles Barrel of Fun.
Yep.
And we are gonna get their pricing, say, hey, are you comparable? Are you in the ballpark here? And
Right.
if they are, basically, we'd almost be paying ourselves a little bit.
I almost think Barrel Fund might be a little less expensive than some of the other brands, maybe. From my remembrances of
Yeah.
purchasing that stuff. My nightmares of purchasing that stuff.
Yeah.
No. Okay, any further questions on the program? Is there a motion to support the Parks and Rec in participating in this
So.
program? Second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
One final item related to that too. State statute requires that the city council authorize and accept all donations, and that is a modification to our process that we will be doing going forward. Connie's working with the department heads, and I think quarterly or semi-annual, the state
It'll be
doesn't allow us to do
semi-annually
that.
the first time.
So that you know what donations we are receiving, and we're clarifying that process.
Okay. Item 8, Engineering Department. We have two consent calendar items. The one is there a motion to approve the promotion of Marvin Bush effective May 6th with wage adjustments to $22.96 per hour in accordance with Local 49 union contract to the sewer maintenance position, street and sewer maintenance position 2.
Second.
Motion by Matt and second by Pritchard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. And item number 2, also under engineering department, is there a motion to authorize hiring 2 summer interns listed in the packet to work mid-May through mid-August with the engineering department at a rate of $10 per hour.
So moved.
Second.
Second, motion by Pritchard, second by Matt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Administrator, is there any other?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay.